Hey everybody, and welcome back to Tenza Motorsports. Now, this is not my race car, and that is not my wife's race car. What's going on? So we're gonna be doing some modifications to our RZR. This is our 900 Trail, and some of you might know these from my second channel. Now, my second channel, we do a lot of really random stuff. We will do some race car stuff, but we're doing like tonneau covers on trucks, speakers, things like this. You'll see a lot of this on my second channel. So go check out Tenza builds. I'll have that linked in the description. And the tail whips we'll be using today are made by NICECNC. We've been really happy with the way they look so far. Obviously, they're not installed. We're gonna go through everything these come with. Everything will be linked down in the description below. And this over here is a Polaris Ace. This is the 900, the wider Polaris Ace. We're really excited to do some projects on that. So if you're interested in seeing modifications on either of these two machines, make sure you check out my second channel, Tenza Builds. All right, so as you can see, I did take some of this out of the box for two reasons. One, I just couldn't help myself. I wanted to see them out. I wanted to see them run. So I've been getting into a habit of when I first get products to pull them out of the box and make sure nothing's damaged so that I don't find out later on in the middle of recording a video that something's broken. Here are the two whips. Now these are a two-part whip. As you could see, I was holding two of them earlier. It wasn't a right and a left. It's actually a top and a bottom. So these are the 5-foot whips. This is a connector. So if you want to run the standard, I think this is like 2.5 feet or something like that, maybe 3. And then this one here finishes out that 5 foot. You can actually run this little cap. If you want to, you can take that off, plug this one in. And I was a little bit worried that the LEDs wouldn't flow up into this one. So like if it's running something up, it'll flow right into this. And honestly, you couldn't even hardly tell that there was a cap there. It's split, so if you don't want it as tall, if you're running, you know, on a trail or something like that and you've got some low-hanging trees, you can take this one off without taking everything off. So you know what the hardest thing about installing something like this is doing all the wiring, getting everything hidden and ran, making sure that you're not gonna have any wire next to anything that's gonna get hot or it's gonna get pinched. That's gonna be the hardest thing about installing these. Comes with a flag, which is cool. These will mount the flag to the top of these. You get a remote. There's a whole bunch of color combinations. So pretty simple stuff. Now let's go over to the wiring harness because that's one of the cooler things about this product. Now this is the wire harness. As you can see here, I actually have this one taken off because we were test fitting it in a few locations. We'll go over some mounting options here in a little bit. Here's the mount. I have a cap on it right now, so that's what it looks like. And it goes into here. And it kind of like does like a quick disconnect. So when you slide this up, you can just click it in and then you can remove it when you're done with it. So we'll put this cap back on it. And then what's also nice is this right here. So this would be like if you run this on a flag mount, because this fits perfectly into a flag mount. We've got a couple flag mounts here. This will all be linked in the description. Everything we use today. Find out that these fit perfectly into a flag mount, which is cool for one reason, but not as cool for another reason. One reason, meaning that you have a set of mounts and you can just leave them there. And then if you need to run flags, you've already got it all set up and it can just use the same mount and you're not having to do a mount for this and a mount for your flag. Downside is that you'll have to remove this if you want to run just a straight flag. The upside is this guy right here. So you can just spin that off and spin this off. You put that in your jockey box or something, you run your flag, and then when you're ready to put your tail whip back on, you just spin that on and spin this back on. So it's all super simple stuff. Let's go over here to some of our mounting options that we had. Now, this newer RZR has some weird bars that aren't exactly straight up and down. So this one angles back, this one angles forward. This one's at a bit of an angle to the front, kind of slopes down. What's nice about the flag mounts that we have is it actually allows you to, let me see if I can get one here. When you put this on, you can mount it here, or you can mount it there, or you can mount it there. And so you can actually change the angle. So if you stuck it here, you could put it off an angle just a little bit and make sure it goes straight up and down. So this one was pretty close to being straight up and down. And then the other option that we had was actually going down into here, and you can see it sitting down in there because I was kind of hoping we could put it in there. The downside to this would be that part of the tail whip is actually in your box. So if you wanted to put things in here, that would shrink up some space. The only other reason why I like this one is if it ran up through this roll cage here, if it ever got like bent back or something, it was kind of like tucked into here. I'm not sure how much that matters. So the option that we went with was the bar that this machine comes with. We're gonna put it right here. It's gonna run straight up and it just barely misses the roof. So it actually sits like out here. and then we'll run it far enough over this way that we're not hitting these nuts and bolts here. So that is the plan for right now. We'll get those attached, and then we will run some wiring. What's nice about the newer RZR as well is that we've already got our punch out plates. So we are going to be running a new switch. I have some switches. And then the other thing that's nice about the newer RZRs is that they have wiring harnesses ready to go underneath here. So these ports right here are open, and you can buy these pigtails. And we did the same thing with our winch. So I'm gonna unplug this and we can run it that way, or we can tap into some other system, make sure it keys on. I think this is a constant on and one of these is a key. That's why this one's plugged up. I think that's a constant. So you can get to pick how you want to run your tail whips. One more thing before we get started is it does actually have turn signals. White reverse, red brake, black right turn signal, and blue left turn signal. Now, this machine does not have turn signals, so we're not going to be installing these ones. We'll just make sure that we get the standard one set up. And then if we ever do turn signals later, we can always get this hooked up. But we do want to figure out if we can get the reverse and brake set up. So this is what we've decided to do. I've got my GoPro here so that we can get in all these tight areas. So this is the left side, and I believe that is left as in when you're in the machine, left and right. So that's how we've got it set up. Like I said, we don't have turn signals, so for right now that won't matter too much, but we do want to set them up so that when we eventually install them, we have them properly done. So we've got this side coming up, goes up over the intake, and we were thinking that this would probably be the coolest section of all of the engine components. So we went up over here, this one right here, it meets up with this one. There's a small zip tie, and then it drops down. So after it drops down, we come just on the other side of this intake boot, and then it actually follows some of the computer wires down over to the center tunnel here. From here, we're gonna have to be a little bit careful about heat because it gets pretty warm back in here, but we're going to keep it as far away from any engine components as we can get. I'd like to have this box somewhere safe. I'm not sure how tough this is gonna be, so you don't wanna like have this screwed to the inside of the wheel well or something like that where it's getting rocks and water flicked at it. And then we're gonna be running the wires up through the middle. We'll be pulling out one of these punch plates. We have our switch here. It says a LED light bar, but we are going to be buying probably one that says tail whip later on. We can just swap the wires out for it. And then we've already got this set up. So these have been awesome. I love the fact that you can just plug and play. So you've got a ground, a switch, and then a constant power. So we are going to ground and then the switch. Constant power, just like this one over here, we'll put a little cap on it so that it's not touching anything else. We'll run these wires through here. Those will meet up with this on the back side of the plate, and then it will go to the two wires that are on the power side of the tail whip, which is right here. So these two right here will go to the switch. So yeah, like I said, the hardest part about doing this project is not getting them mounted up. As you can see, that took us, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes. It's running all the wiring and making sure that it's not getting hot, getting pinched, damaged, anything like that. You can also use wire loom to protect this, just give it an extra layer. And you can also get wire looms that are heat protecting as well. So if you wanted to put a whole sleeve across here, you could. So let's get this wired up the rest of the way, and then we should be able to get those attached and flick them on. So this is without the extensions on it. So this would be like if you've got low-hanging trees, you're driving around at night, you want these running, you'd have them like this. We have here our extension. I'll get one of these put on real quick, show you what that looks like. There it is with the full extension. I really am impressed, like even with this gap, it flows right through it like it's not even there. It's very difficult to see that that's in there. And we really like the flexibility of being able to run a shorter tail whip if we wanted to. And just like the connections down here, it does come with a cap. So you'll just slip that cap back on if you're not using the extension. So we've got a little bit more wiring to do, and then we'll show this now that it's starting to get a little bit more dark outside. We'll get to see this driving around a little bit, and then we'll wrap the video up. So unfortunately my microphone went a little bit wonky, so I am re-recording this little bit of audio here. Basically what we do is show off the app. The app was pretty easy to hook up, wasn't super difficult. There's a whole bunch of features on it. To keep the video short, playing with the app isn't anything crazy. You're not gonna break the tail whips going through and playing with all the little features on it. The link to the app is on the instructions that come with the tail whips. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. We are very happy with this overall. I really appreciate everybody so much for watching. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down in the comment section below. Stay tuned for more projects like this, and we will see everybody in the next video.
Bam!